I have some new information today for you guys regarding Antarctica that is going to put everything they've told us in a whole new light. Some months ago, we found, setting in a very obscure area of Antarctica, this jet. Now, we measured the wingspan on this. We measured it nose to tail, and it is within just a matter of a couple of feet the same size as an SR-71 Blackbird. Now, the image here doesn't exactly jive up with an SR-71, but you have to ask yourself a question. Why would there be a jet like this down here to begin with? It's very clearly not some civilian airliner, what we're looking at. And the most important thing about it is if you go to Google Earth Pro, let me see if I can get the light turned here, and you do a historical imagery search, meaning upper left-hand corner, there's a little clock you can click. You go back, this image is from 11/26/2011. If you go back just one click, this is that same image from 11/24/2011. So they high-res imaged this region twice, 2 times, in 48 hours. That's just unheard of, and I apologize for the blur. It's just because everything is so, when you have white contrasting with black like this, it just messes with the focus. So 11/24, 11/26. They were clearly looking for this aircraft. Now, I have information about what this aircraft was doing and why it was there and why it was so important. Raytheon is working in Antarctica. Raytheon is a military contractor. The Antarctic Treaty prohibits this. In fact, there is a story about this scientist that lost his life down there, and Raytheon stonewalled the investigation into what killed this guy, and the U.S. Marshals were involved. Raytheon is the developer of the Patriot. That's the, of course, anti-aircraft missile system that the U.S. uses. And this guy was down there working on a telescope that was pretty high speed. It was a very advanced piece of technology for the time. And he died, and it was very suspicious. His body had to stay down there for 6 months before they could bring it back for autopsy, where it was revealed that he died of methanol poisoning. And they even said in the investigation that the least likely cause of death was suicide. But that's what it was ruled as, a suicide. Now, this is the thing he was working on. But I just wanted to show you something right from the wiki of the Antarctic Treaty. In 2006, the New Zealand police reported that jurisdictional issues prevented them issuing warrants for potential American witnesses who were reluctant to testify during the Christchurch coroner's investigation into the death by poisoning of Australian astrophysicist Rodney Marks at the South Pole Base in May 2000. Dr. Marks died while wintering over at the United States Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, located at the geographic South Pole. Prior to autopsy, the death was attributed to natural causes by the National Science Foundation and the contractor administering the base, Raytheon. However, an autopsy in New Zealand revealed that Dr. Marks died from methanol poisoning. The New Zealand police launched an investigation in 2006, frustrated by lack of progress. The Christchurch coroner said that it was unlikely that Dr. Marks ingested the methanol knowingly. During media interviews, the police detective in charge of the investigation criticized the National Science Foundation and contractor Raytheon for failing to cooperate with the investigation. What if this guy busted out Raytheon? Or what if he had discovered a way or had found some new technology that would have made the Patriot obsolete. I think this proves beyond the shadow of any reasonable doubt that that jet down there was tied to Raytheon testing anti-aircraft or other types of devices, military devices, because that's what you would need. How are you going to test anti-aircraft missiles without aircraft? And you couldn't just let it fall into anyone's hands if you did shoot one down, right? So here's this thing. Could have possibly been a drone. Could have been some type of an analog for an SR-71. It wouldn't have necessarily needed the speed. It would just needed to have approximated the size and the type of anti-radar technology that it was using. This could be, this thing looks pretty much intact, other than if you look off to the right here, it does look like this far wing might have sustained some damage. I personally believe this is a shoot down right here. This is either a drone or some type of aircraft that was used in Raytheon's testing. And this guy might have known. This guy might have had too much information about this. And that's why he was killed. And that's why they stonewalled the investigation. This all happened around 2000. So the Patriot was already fairly well established by then. Sorry, still on the very edge of this cold. But this could explain a lot. This could really explain a lot of the military style stuff that we're seeing down there. We had shown the evidence of the laser testing. And this isn't the only aircraft. We'd shown 2 or 3 others down there. And let's see if we can go find one of them. There was a blue aircraft. Hold on a second. Let me get the search on this right. Here we go. Ready? Now, this was another one that they've tried to cover up with the layers of imagery. You've got to go to February 14th, 2010. And coming out of this glacier, out from under the ice, we see what looks very much like some type of dark royal blue aircraft. This would be the perfect place to do this kind of testing, and it would be a huge reason to cover this up. There could be all sorts of different things happening in Antarctica simultaneously that aren't necessarily tied together, but all put together make up one giant reason for keeping people from going down there. The Chinese could have illegal whaling going on. There could be illegal oil drilling, weapons testing, who knows what else. And maybe that's why they have buried this satellite imagery for so long. You have to remember something. I know my viewers are kind of accustomed to seeing these images, but prior to 2018, I would like someone to show me any channel that had done any detail work like this. I mean, right down here at like the 2,000 foot level, 1,000 foot level. I still would like to know what this is. And to be very fair, this discovery here, this blue jet, wasn't mine. This was brought to me by a viewer that had been inspired by our looking into the continent and seeing things that just didn't make sense. There was something else over here too that just was beyond belief. And in the sense of the color. this royal blue that we've seen over and over and over again. I've made the allegation that these craft that our Navy sees all over the place, that they can't intercept, they can't really even track. I don't think they're coming from outer space, guys. I think they're coming from our deep oceans and from Antarctica. And this is what they're trying to hide. So when you go question the government, or people go and question the government and say, do you have any information about life in outer space or UFOs, they can honestly say no and not be lying. Because UFO would mean unidentified flying object, and they've identified them, so it's not a UFO, therefore they can say no, we don't know, and it's not from outer space. So anyway, I think this explains a lot about at least why that jet is there, what it was doing, what its mission was, and who's responsible. Raytheon. Like, share, subscribe.